a challenge to the government to operate a pilot scheme to do exactly what Cllr Clancy and just about everybody around this table has agreed on, and that is, let's get on the conveyor belt and try and help kids to stop falling off the end. Yes, there's got to be funding there for the ones that unfortunately will get to the end, but I think we can do great things if we can actually get on the conveyor belt. So there's the offer. Cross-party approach to government for a pilot scheme.
Simon?
Just to come back on that point, and I want to address John Clancy's contributions about teaching business in schools. I think you're probably right. You know, there's kind of this, people think teachers aren't really connected with the business world. But I want to raise a point, actually, being from Frankly, we have a problem with gangs. And, well, in southwest Birmingham in general, you know, we have a problem with gangs. And what's fueling gangs is drugs. And when kids are falling off the end at school, and they're going out and selling drugs, what are they effectively doing? They're effectively running a business. You know, they'll sell the drug, they'll grow the weed, they'll go back and get a bigger batch. That's wholesale, really, economies of scale. So if you don't teach them business, maybe teach them GCSE Economics, you know, comparative advantage, supply and demand, basic economic skills. And then, you know, we give people £9,000 a year to go to university. And according to the Higher Education Statistics Authority, in 2014, 40% of university graduates go on to work in the public sector. A third of them go on to non-professional roles. So, I mean, I kind of brand that as state nepotism. You know, it's no different than a rich kid in Sutton Coldfield going to work for his dad's company. You haven't really gone out into the marketplace and bartered your human capital, have you? You've just been filtered into the public sector. And so, you know, if kids come out of schools, you can give them the option, £9,000 a year to start a business, or how about this? That £9,000 a year to go and start a business instead of going to university. And what we could probably do is we could get people from the business community to teach them, and if they put a business plan together and it's good, they could come to somebody at council and somebody could scrutinise it, just like we're doing here, and if it's good, they will get the money. We've got a high street all over Birmingham. High streets are, you know, empty. They're calling out for people to set up shops, and post-Brexit as well. Let's crack on with it. Let's do it.
I'm going to add my 4 questions onto the 2 contributions, but certainly up for the challenge, Ken said. But perhaps we need to do a quick piece of scrutiny to add a narrative to it.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to address, I was going to bring this issue of entrepreneurship in schools as well, and Councillor Morrall's brought this up. And when I was a young, fresh-faced teacher in the early 1980s, probably before Councillor Morrall was born, possibly even Councillor Pritchard and Councillor Grindrod was born, I was actually teaching entrepreneurship in schools. I think it was the second term of the Thatcher government, we'd all been told in schools, you may remember something called TVEI, which was Training for Vocational Education Initiative, and it's linked to TRIST, which was the Training for Vocational Initiative. It was all very complex. Lots and lots of money went into it. Lots of money went into it with the intention of getting schools to train kids up, in particular in skills to do with business. The school that I was at, we took it very, very seriously, and we actually took half a day a week out completely for vocational and entrepreneurship training. It was essentially The Apprentice before The Apprentice happened. It really was. It was that kind of thing. They had to do projects that got them to work together, to make decisions. They had project managers, all that kind of thing. In fact, the problem was we couldn't fire them. But the reality was we were doing that in the early 1980s, and I think with a modicum of success. And then it sort of went away, and obviously teachers were told they hadn't got experience of the real world. How could they possibly teach, these skills in any event? And I then remember around about 15 years later, the whole thing started again. There's no entrepreneurship training in schools. We have to, and it was going to Gordon Brown this time, and Gordon Brown started to put emphasis on training entrepreneurship in schools, and so on and so forth. And again, just a matter of a few years later, we're in this process. And I'd just like to ask the question as to whether it is really even possible today to have any kind of serious programme in schools for teaching entrepreneurship, with the whole range of other pressures that there are in schools to deliver other things. And as to whether actually entrepreneurship is best done outside schools, I'm not proposing that it should. I'm just saying that we have been through this again and again and again. And for all sorts of reasons, it's never bedded down in schools. Although I think personally, of itself, it is a good thing and should happen.